so he needed to get back. But in the end, the Yule Scepter came out and kept the Clinks in place, where after he BKB'd, he could still not run away. They have some good heroes against BKB. And, yeah, they got punished really hard there.
Yeah.
So it was a misplay by the Clinks in the sense that when you get sent home, Yules can cancel the send home. But if you BKB before it, so you can't get Yules, you just, sure, you waste the BKB charge, but you get back to the fountain safely.
Yeah.
So he tried to, probably didn't think of the Yules because that's a new, I mean, it's not a new change, but we're, as Dota players, we're used to that nothing can cancel the send home. The hook thing, the fountain hook thing was the same story, but they changed it. I mean, it was changed a few months ago now, and he probably didn't have that in mind, so it was like, I'm safe, and then he got Yules, and then it was a disaster.
So more like a habit.
Exactly, a bad habit.
Yeah, he was just looking at his HP going like, they can't kill me before I'm back.
Right.
Which was right.
Yeah, he was right.
He was fine.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else that you've seen so far, Winter, in that?
I think even Cinderan mentioned again, like the gem, the lacking of the gem is just a really severe problem here. The Vision giving EG the necessary information to make the plays that like Fear has been pushing without fear, because he had the Vision, he knew the supports were on their side of the map, and he was just like, okay, I can just force them to come back to base and make the play that he did.
And also, condolences to PPD who suffered the post-pause death.
There's always one.
There's always a guy who dies after the pause. This time he has positioned himself very nicely. He's in his own jungle, safely tucked away. So I'm sure he's going to be fine.
It usually happens to the captains, during the pause, you're like talking to everyone, and you totally forget that you are actually in the middle of somewhere.
I was going to ask, do you go back to the end and you go, wait, where was I?
And people can know it's a post-pause death because you run into 5 people. It's not even you're like actually completely out of position. It's because you just lost track of what happened.
Yeah.
But what I wanted to mention, that we mentioned that Octarine core and the fact that Co-op has no hex. So when they were pushing, they didn't show Co-op or Clockwork. Both of them were missing. But AM kept on split pushing bottom and went into the base. He would never do that if Co-op had a hex.
Yep.
Because then they could chain stun him. But he knows that as long as the Klings is visible, nothing can chain stun him until Klings TPs back and kills him. He's going to be fine by that time. So he can do whatever he wants. Whatever he wants on the map.
Sorry, we'll come back to it. It's an interesting piece because for a new player, what you're usually trying to do is learn, the heroes and learn some of the items and what have you. And your focus is so much on that you forget what the other players are playing. So we know Dota is a game of counter. So if you don't remember that when you're a new player, it's very tough. But as you become a bit better and you start noticing these things, it can actually win you games. And it's a great example of the fact that, if you haven't tuned in already, make sure you tuned into the noob stream, the newcomer stream today, because that is fantastic at explaining exactly these kind of things. And it's those little moments, isn't it, where you suddenly go, hang on a minute. They haven't got something that I know will stop me from doing, I can do this now. It's like the light bulb moment.
Exactly, and those players are it's not even that they're good. They're perfect at, taking advantage of those situations.
Yeah,
he knows exactly.
I think a very good example would be if you are playing a hero like Lifestealer or Juggernaut, you have innate survivability, ability to actually help you survive. And the opponent doesn't have anything that goes through your TP with your spell immunity, you will be able to take the hero to a very huge limit. So you have to use the hero to the limits if you actually understand and remember.
And the guys down here, and you guys as well, I include you in this, it's like a second nature. You don't even think about it. It's one of those things that's just part of what happens, which is fantastic. But, when I'm playing, for instance, I'm still concentrating on what I'm supposed to be doing, let alone what the other guys are doing, right? And when you get better at it, even then, you really aren't thinking too much about the other side. So, really impressive. We do have a quick replay, actually, of the last team fight. So, it'd be quite good to look at that and sort of talk through as to how it all broke out. I know, Winter, you were just sort of going, well, why didn't he use the BKB? And I think we can see that in the replay.
And Fear, so much work on the bot lane.
Yeah, so now the Klings side.
This was like past the fight already.
This was a super informed fight and really well executed by EG. So you want to pop the Clinks. You want to get his Aegis because he's not actually that great of an Aegis carrier because of Death Pact. So they popped him with the Aegis with Winter's Curse and then Laguna, and then he dropped.
Okay, we're gonna drop in now. Sorry about that. Yeah, we're just got a little ahead of ourselves.
The really key moment is after the sleep, and if you watch Fnatic, they went all out on combo, and then the opponents pop their BKB, but they actually wait for the BKB pop. So
and AM at this point is already knows exactly what he's going to do.
So at this point, they're just trying to kill the creeps, and then once the golems die, they'll pop the glyph. Chen actually has his heal up. Debatable whether or not he could have healed to.
This is
actually
also
go for
where Anti-Mage is already pushing.
Yes.
So now they try to just send home and TP back and stop the Anti-Mage. That's where it all goes wrong after this.
Yeah, you're gonna see here Anti-Mage is split pushing and they are like frantically trying to send the Klings back after the song.
Sleep is very smart as well because he's preventing them from porting. You know, that's probably what he wants to do.
Yeah, and he didn't pop his BKB and the Use cancelled the sandbag. That was what happened.
But now the BKB doesn't do anything anymore.
Yeah,
They're gonna
he's
chase him
just
down
screwed
anyway.
after this.
Yep. And look at Anti-Mage's life, and that's without a Hex. With a Hex, he's dead.
I honestly feel that Octarine this early on doesn't bring you anything really for the value, apart from
Being
big
tanky.
mana pool,
Being tanky.
like your health pool is really good, but it doesn't really, it's a very expensive item. And on Queen, when you already reduce the ulti cooldown so much with Aghanims, I don't think it's worth it. I think it's just a straight up, actually bad purchase.
For this situation, I think they didn't fully understood the problem of the Anti-Mage. Like,
Yeah.
if he had a Hex, this wouldn't have happened.
Definitely.
Yeah, we can make right round to the point we made earlier on, so that's really cool. In the way that the game has now unfolded a little bit more in the last couple of minutes, do we feel maybe this is a watershed moment in this match and that actually EG might now just go on to take this?
Yes, because now they have Roshan control,
Yeah.
and Klinks isn't strong enough to take it by his lonesome. And he died, they lose like a few seconds of map control, they lost the bottom T3 tower. Now, if that happens one more time, they lose a lane of Rax, and that was their moment. That was when they needed to break the high ground. And you talked about like some of the disadvantages of Sand King in the early game, but in this particular moment, he was really useful because of the instant stun. After the sleep, they waited for it. It's like, is he going to pop his BKB? If he's not, then we're going to kill him again. And if he does, we're going to net him or isolate him or whatever they want to do. And you don't have that luxury if you don't have the instant stun.
Yeah, and running a Chen lineup is sort of similar to running a DK lineup. Like we saw Empire play, for example. You have to execute it very well, and if your first push at high ground fails and you die, and you get split pushed and lost to tier 3, that's going to hurt your momentum a lot.
Yeah, as a Dota player, you understand. You remember how many games you lost that way.
Yeah.
It's never good.
Okay, complexity though. What are they going to change or do differently? Do you think after the pause to make sure that this doesn't go snowballing the other way?
Get a Hex ASAP.
Yeah.
Either on Klinks, probably on Klinks because Queen already committed.
I
would
think
say.
it needs damage though. Like if they go Hex on Klinks and Octarine on Queen, they don't have anyone with damage. Like,
They both have like 600 gold right now, so both would take probably around the same time to actually try and build the Hex. And like you mentioned, they're lacking damage as well. So I think at this point, if you talk about getting the Hex on the Klings, it might also be a huge problem that you Hex, but you don't have enough damage to actually kill the target.
Well, their options are what? Secure map control, which they can't really because no Hex. They can't really push high ground. They just failed. And the next is control the Roshan, but they're fighting against Sand King and Naga. So, I mean, all their options are not looking good.
I think they have too much to do right now because they haven't been doing enough the past 10 minutes. There were a lot of stuff that should have happened 10 minutes ago for them, but because they didn't address it and it all like stacks up right now, they have too much to do in too little time.
This is a perfect example of 3 minutes ago. They were doing all right. They could still win this game. 3 minutes later, suddenly one thing changes, and actually, you basically are all saying they should GG out now because there's almost nothing.
I mean,
they could
it's literally how bad it is. Like they are running an all-in type of push lineup, and if this happens, it's just so demoralizing and hard to come back from if you have this lineup.
It's also a fact that they died top after going for a BKB build on Klinks. When we saw Fear play Klinks, he would go for the full damage build early on, go Daedalus into MKB, into maybe BKB or Butterfly. So that's going to farm a lot faster and push a lot faster. Now, if you lose the team fights, which is what you built the BKB for, you're in a spot where it's really hard to recover.
But we need to keep in mind that Complexity they never took the fight. That wasn't a fight. It was just EG catching them off guard. So I think, you know, if I were to captain that game, I think the best approach for Complexity is to try it again. They need to try to end the game because if now it's bad, it's gonna get even worse.
Yeah.
They're not gonna be able to do better.
I think
than
they
this.
probably
This is the best they can get.
Don't have the luxury to wait for the Hex.
They need to go again and force EG to make a mistake. It was Complexity doing a mistake. EG is not. They're not like gods. They can also fail once, and if it happens, they're gonna take the game because they have a Chen and a Klinks with Destillators. They can take 2 racks in 30 seconds or in a minute. So they need to go there, force the issue again, and make sure that they play as a team. Here it was a 3 versus 5 and 2 guys trying to kill an Anti-Mage. 3 versus 4, sorry.
They can't push again, though. They have to like get all the Chen creeps. They have to push bottom lane out. They have to deal with AM split pushing. Like, there's too many issues. I think
they have a lot of issues for sure right now. They have a lot of issues that they need to address.
Okay, cool. Unfortunately, I am getting news that the reason we're offline right now is due to a DDoS attack, which is a real shame. I do wish these people would find something better to do with their lives, but that's where we are right now. We are going to catch up with Casey, though, who's with some fans once more. Casey.
You're representing them. Yep. I have come into contact with Faceless Rex, and there is Monday Night Football theme music coming in. Let's see if we can hear. I have been informed that Faceless Rex can't talk. So why don't you show me who you're rooting for today? Evil geniuses? Evil geniuses. Can you show us your Faceless Rex dance? I guess I should shake your hand. Very nice to meet you. And go dinosaur.
Are we off the camera?
Yeah, we're off camera now. You can talk. You liar!
Casey is just can't be trusted out there. Don't ever take your suits off when you're around Casey, because otherwise you're definitely going to be on camera. A lot of fun, a lot of colour actually at the international. Obviously, my first time here, didn't really know what to expect. Was really just focused on the Dota and the teams and the players. But actually, it's more about the fans as well and the colourful cosplay that they're wearing. It's the flags that we've seen draped all over their bodies today as well, and real coming out and supporting all of the players. And it never cease to amaze me how they stop everyone, all of us. We just can't go anywhere without getting stopped. It's fantastic. And the players obviously enjoy it as well. I was talking to Fly about it. He just can't even believe that there are fans